Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Formula One. I'm your host, Jamie. I'm here with my sister, Jack.
Hi, everybody.
And we are coming off of our first of 24 race weekends for the Formula One season this year. How are we feeling, Jack?
Jamie and I were texting with some of our friends while the race was happening, obviously, as one does. And I think I have delusioned too hard going into this, too close to the sun. So I got checked really quick this weekend.
McLaren didn't do bad, and this is not a great track for them.
It's not a good track for them. It's never been a good track. We've done the best we've done in the past at least 3 or 4 seasons. So proud of you. I know that's what you're waiting for. Yeah. Because I was listening to our episode the other day and I was like, oh, I didn't realize I guessed the Red Bull 1-2. But Lando was not there. Obviously.
No. If you did miss the race by any chance, our podium was Max Checo. So Jack was correct there, but our P3 was Mr. Carlos Sainz.
Fighting
also
for his
driver
life.
of the day.
I voted for him for driver of the day.
I loved when you sent me that screenshot. I loved that everyone joined me in my weekly ritual of just voting for Carlos, because I vote for Carlos no matter what.
You even tried to vote for him when he wasn't racing last year.
Indeed, yes. There was one race. It's escaping me which one. Qatar, right? It's escaping me which one he was not able to race in. And I sent Jack a series of very upset texts as if she could fix it because they had removed him from voting for driver of the day. So I had to vote for somebody else. I believe I voted for Fernando Alonso, if I remember.
He probably deserved it.
Yeah. Great season. But speaking of the Astons, not a crazy incredible performance from them, but I think very much in line with where they ended last season.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So
not this crazy, oh my God, shock.
Yeah. Which
Fernando
I don't think
on the podium.
I mean, the only way they would have gotten that sort of level of shock, honestly, for me would have been had they like won.
Yeah, that's true.
The shock and the excitement last year was, I think, a unique thing because they had made such great strides up. On the reverse, great strides down. Alpine.
You know, you mentioned that you'd heard that it was a tractor.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a tractor.
Yeah. And there's some news about that we'll get into in a second once we're done talking about the race. But yeah, difficult race for them. They are very much not on the pace and definitely not where they want to be.
Yeah, but it's tough.
McLaren started really terribly last year too.
Yeah, you know, there's a couple of teams that started pretty bad last year. Just full honesty, they were pretty bad. But it's tough to be bad this year, specifically when so many teams have made strides forward. And like the midfield is so clumped, I feel like right now. Like it is going to be very tight throughout the season. It's tough to not make strides forward when everybody else has, and it just shows that giant gap.
Yeah. I saw a tweet, and I'll try to find it so we can like share it on stories or something. But essentially, Alpine was a little over a second off the pace in quali. In 2015, that would have put you P6 on the grid. In 2024, that puts you P20. That is how close everybody is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's pretty, like, that is, I feel like, very important context.
Yeah.
The car is still the slowest in quali, but times are changing. We're in a very, very different environment in this year of 2024 and in more recent years than we were even back in 2015, 2016.
It is also, like you said, the first race.
Yeah.
And it is a tough race. Bahrain is a tough track. I think there's always just a select few that do really, really well on the track, and then the
it's a
rest
tough
do
track
not.
for a lot of teams. McLaren, I mean, it's tough for Tire Dag as well. So we will see. I don't think this is the nail in the coffin. I don't think that Alpine will end the year P10 in the constructors. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Now you just did it. You just did it. We wanted more curses in 2024. It is the curse of
the
Jamie
curse. Yeah, it's going to be whenever I yap, apparently it's just wrong. But lots of other interesting technical issues happened as well. We had no DNFs. All 20 cars finished.
We almost did. With Logan. Logan almost DNF'd.
Yes.
It seemed like he was going to. No, because then I would be bragging that I won, because that was my race prediction, was that he was going to be the first one to DNF. No crashes, no DNFs.
Yeah. Our first race prediction that I thought we were going to be able, or season prediction that I thought we were going to be able to confirm this week was first DNF, but we got to wait. We don't have a DNF yet.
We have to wait.
Logan did have quite the event, which to what I can find seemed like an issue with their steering wheel, which is interesting because for years.
Alex.
What?
Oh, I thought Alex also had steering wheel issues.
Yes. Yeah. So for years, Williams has had, while everybody else has had this dash screen on the wheel, Williams has always had the screen attached to the car. This year, it was the first time they introduced a wheel that had the screen on the wheel. And boy, did it betray them in the first race. It was that something with the settings for Logan messed with his car with Alex. It was doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They had to replace. So work to be done on the new Williams steering wheel.
Sure. James Vowles did say break everything.
Exactly.
So he broke it and put it back on the steering wheel, and didn't work out this time around. But I did feel for Logan, because he was in middle of the pack, wasn't he? And then that happened, and he dropped like a full minute.
He was running like over a full minute behind everybody else, just because of this. Yeah, he had like a big lockup. I don't know. It was crazy, but he did finish the race.
Yeah. He did finish the race. Was he 20th? I don't even remember now.
He might have been 20th. I think that.
Which, I don't think that's where he wanted to start. It's not where he qualified, which is a step up.
But again, only up from here. It's just the beginning of the season.
That is true.
Some other issues that happened was Lewis's seat broke mid-race, which I don't even know how that happens.
I didn't know that could happen.
I thought it was carbon fiber, which you couldn't break.
Yeah.
So that was a weird one. Don't know how
I want to make a joke, but it's not funny.
I feel like I know what kind of joke you want to make.
Yeah.
Ferrari was also struggling with brake issues. Charles Leclerc more so than Carlos, which slowed Charles Leclerc down considerably. But Carlos was able to have a great drive. Didn't have, it seemed, as severe of an issue with braking. So hopefully they figured that out.
God, and that Ferrari livery is just gorgeous.
So good. It's so good.
It is so good. And I love their race suits too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the last name on the back. I like the last name.
I like the last name.
Yeah.
It's kind of like don't boxers, don't they have their last name on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like on their robes when they walk out. Like that's what I think.
Yeah. I feel like most teams, if they do put something for the driver on the back, it's usually the number. So I like the like
Yeah.
clean. It just says the name.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
So very solid performance from Carlos. He was driver of the day. I'm just gonna say it again and again. Uh, but hopefully they do figure out those brake issues before this coming race weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, that was really, I mean, the race was more or less one of the more straightforward races, was definitely not in contention for craziest race of the season by any means.
No, it was, I don't want to use the word boring, but it
I mean,
kind
there
of
was
was.
still some decent racing, right? But there was
Yeah.
no crazy overtakes. There wasn't really any like big fights to the finish,
Do you
unless
do you want to talk
we.
about V carb
I was just gonna.
really quick? The V carb
Oh,
boys.
there is trouble in V carb
The
paradise.
girls are fighting.
Yes, yes. So essentially, uh, Daniel was behind Yuki, but he had newer tires. So team
Soft
orders,
tires.
yes.
He
So
was put on
team
soft
orders.
tires. Yuki was put on hard tires.
Thank you, tire expert.
I
Um,
just like the strategy makes no sense to me. I'm
yeah.
sorry. It doesn't.
But the team order was to let Daniel by on the better tires to try go catch K Mag, who was up in front. Um, at the end of the race, Daniel was not able to catch K Mag, so Daniel finished 13th. Yuki finished 14th. In the cool down lap, Yuki made his unhappiness very clear to Daniel
Mhm.
via a bit of a dive bomb speed past situation
Yeah.
that I was like, I know you're upset, but don't do that.
Don't damage the car, don't damage another person.
Yeah,
Like, it's the fact that we're still talking about Yuki's
maturity.
immaturity, and he's been on the grid for how long is kind of crazy to me.
Right. And I think it was pretty unfair to him, the whole call. Like the
Yes.
strategy was not fair to him. The call was made pretty late to let him by. The fact that he wasn't given the place back once it became clear that Daniel couldn't catch K Mag, like all of
Yeah.
that, not fair. That reaction though is why there's still all these questions about Yuki.
Yeah. About bringing him up to Red Bull, like, you you just can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't.
I just when I saw it, I was like, no, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please
It's like,
don't,
"Just
please.
breathe, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe.
I was like,
Please,
Yuki,
just
I've
breathe.
gone on so many rants about
We love you. We
about
support
why we
you."
need to stop quote unquote testing you. I'm like,
Yeah.
please, Yuki, please. So yeah, I will be interested to see. I feel like this could be the seeds of a pretty difficult partnership.
Yeah, I mean, they both Daniel, I think, has made it very known that he has his eyes on that open Red Bull seat in 2025. I would assume Yuki would want the same thing. He's not as vocal about any of that, but I mean, his contract, I think, is up at the end of the year too. So he wants to keep his spot, and if it doesn't stay, then he wants to make sure he can secure a place on the grid. So I don't know.
So I think it could get spicy, which is crazy because I was not expecting out of all the pairings on the grid.
Yeah.
And I think again, first race of the season, this seems like the beginning of something we'll be talking about again.
It makes me sad too because I think that they're both really fun to watch, like, in the media stuff, and as we said, we will live and die by Yuki. We love you, and we have defended you so much.
But it's hard because we also
It's hard
secretly
when
live
you
and
do
die by
things like
Daniel.
we also do live and die by Daniel, but it's
Yeah.
also hard to live and die by Yuki when you do things like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Like, I can't really defend this one.
I can't. I'm not gonna try to spin it because
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
So I hope that they had a very productive meeting after
Yeah.
that and really talked it out. And we will see next time team orders
Maybe
happen.
did like a sound meditation together. Those are really relaxing.
Deep breathing,
Deep breathing.
guided meditation. Yeah, let's
Red Bull
just
needs to have a therapist for like on call at all times. So
yeah, like maybe they could do like a sponsorship with the Calm app, and they could have like a Calm app button on the wheel.
honestly, that would be so funny. Could you
Yeah,
imagine? Could you imagine Yuki trying to like he's in your ear. You're just trying to fall asleep.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's so funny.
Yeah. So we will see, but that is really the bulk of the on track drama stories, that type of thing. Max was 30 seconds up by like lap 10. So
Yeah, it was really sad. I really, like I said, I delusioned too hard, I think. And I really thought it would just be closer. I really did think that he would win. I knew,
mhm.
but I thought it would
It
be
just sort
closer.
of it was wild. I think because Red Bull is still so dominant, plus there's no new faces on the grid. I was like, this really just feels like we just had like a extended summer break or something like that. It's
Yeah.
just still the 2023 season.
It was kind of weird not having any new people that I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know about you.
Yeah, you gotta
Don't know
like
if I
hit
can
the
trust you
vibe.
yet."
It's like we already know everyone's vibe already.
We know everyone's vibe. We like everyone's vibe.
Yeah.
Most
So
people's.
most people's. But just because there was not too much track drama, boy oh boy, has the Formula One world exploded off track.
We love a drama.
Oh boy, we got plenty. First story, which may probably isn't shocking to anybody based on Alpine's performance, but there were several Alpine technical team resignations. And so, with these most recent round of resignations, in the last 8 months, Alpine has lost their CEO, their team principal, their sporting director, their racing director, their chief technical officer, technical director, and head of aerodynamics.
And Ryan Reynolds is replacing all of them with himself.
That's so crazy. Like you think about what do these celebrity sponsors think
I
about all of this?
know.
Or
Like
co-owners.
what did they get told? I also want to know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So
And it's not like any I don't maybe it might be Travis Kelsey's like first rodeo, but I know like it's not Ryan Reynolds. He has a soccer team. And then Patrick Mahomes, he's a very big investor with the women's soccer team in Kansas City.
Kansas City,
So
yeah.
they know what they're doing. I don't know if they just have the patience
I don't
to
know how involved they are as well. I mean,
yeah.
we don't really. Um, I think there's definitely rebuilding that needs to happen within Alpine. Bananas that it's happening like at the beginning of a brand new
Yeah.
season. So like I don't know what their plan is for the rest of the year. It sort of seems like honestly the longevity, the long-term right call would probably be to kind of use this year as a regroup. But how are you going to keep sponsors and drivers when you're doing that?
Yeah. If it we were talking about Drive to Survive season 6 last episode, and they showed quite a bit of the F1 principals kind of having to reassure and keep people on because even the slightest dip of performance can kind of send people into a frenzy.
Mhm.
So, and you need money to rebuild. So, you need your sponsors and you need your investors. So, they've got their work cut out for them, that's for sure.
So we will see how that goes.
Yeah.
I think that will be another season long story of how do they kind of recoup this and where do they pick up now, especially there's clearly a lot of development and tech work to be done, but there's clearly not a lot of development in tech and aerodynamic leadership. So
I don't know.
We will see what happens. Thinking of you, Alpine fans.
Yeah. Sorry.
But in other rumor mill news, the FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, is apparently under investigation for a couple things. One, crazy. This is all allegedly,
With the curlies.
with the curlies. And according to a whistleblower, first thing that he is under investigation for is actually interference in the race results at Jeddah last year. And if you recall last year, their beginning of the season last year, if you recall, the stewards were being super strict about time penalties being served during the race in the pit box. You can't be touching the car. So Esteban fell victim to this, where if there's a jack or anything touching the car, you get an additional 10-second penalty. During this race, Fernando Alonso fell victim to that. So they gave him an additional penalty after the end of the race. And after the podium had been done, he finished P3. That demoted him to P4 and then promoted George Russell to the podium position. Then there was this whole social media saga of like Aston Martin delivering the trophy to Mercedes, but only for that penalty to be reversed. And then the saga continued of Mercedes returning the trophy to Aston Martin. It is alleged that the FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, influenced that decision and influenced the race results so that Fernando wouldn't get the penalty and would stay on the podium. So that's one of them. The second one is that he tried to influence officials to not certify the Vegas track. Basically, what that means, to my understanding, is if the track is not certified by the FIA, they can't host the race. I'm not really clear on why he would want that to happen, because there's so much money tied up in that.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that is the other one that he's being investigated for. So
I love that Fernando is in the middle of another alleged drama.
I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Fernando Alonso is always at the scene of the crime, and I love him for it. This is like, I saw a tweet that was like, we need to do an investigation on how Fernando gets like all these rich men to just like do these things.
Yeah, like for what reason? And I'm not saying that he did, I'm not saying that he didn't do it. For the FIA president to reverse this for him, like I don't like now if it was for like Lawrence Stroll, then I get it.
And I mean, we could sit here and speculate all day about like why, right? Like,
yeah, no, but just because of give into like the Bond villain vibe, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
I just like don't understand, like both of them don't really make sense to me. It'll be interesting to know what they do find out.
Yeah.
And they release, because that's the other thing too. Well, they might find things out, but they may not release what they find out.
Yeah. The FIA is not the most like open, so we'll see.
Yeah. Throw back to the Susie Wolf overbreak.
Yeah.
We have closed our investigation. What investigation? What did you find? Who did you talk to? Nothing.
What were you investigating beyond?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, so we'll see what we hear about it, if we even ever do. They could just never speak a word of it, so we don't know.
No idea. This could come out, like the whole, was it Crashgate or even Spygate? I think he's involved in both of those. It could be coming out, and yeah.
I can't wait for Fernando to retire. I hope he writes a book.
Fernando needs to write a book.
I can't wait for him to retire. I can wait for him to retire. I just can't wait for the book that I'm hoping that he writes when he retires.
I can and can't wait, because I can wait for him to retire because then the drama stops.
Right.
2, I can't wait because, like you said, he's going to find the opportunity to sell a book, make it into a movie, make it into a TV series.
Oh yeah.
It's
And
going to be incredible.
when that book comes out, and we'll all still be talking to you because
We'll have a book club.
this is a bond for life. You listening and
We'll just
us.
be old ladies.
Yeah, however old we are, because he's probably going to race forever. We will be doing the Fernando Alonso book club.
It's probably already written. It's like in a
Yeah, I
safe
mean,
somewhere.
the stories he has of all the teams that he's driven for and all of this crazy stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
Fernando Alonso was in the room where it happened every time. Every time.
Oh, by the way, I watched Hamilton this weekend.
Never seen it.
You've never seen it? Oh my God. You have my Disney Plus. Watch it.
Yeah,
It's so good.
maybe this
But they have a
weekend.
song called Room Where It Happened.
I knew
so
it came
cool.
from
Like,
Hamilton.
it's my favorite, one of my favorite. And I'm not even a musical person, but that's just like such a good musical.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back to the
anyway.
rumor. So we touched on this news, which has now sort of turned into something rumor-esque, the Christian Horner investigation. We touched on this when it came out a few weeks ago. At that time, we did say we were not going to speculate about the investigation and about the victim. That still stands. But as an update on where things stand and sort of the rumors that have happened after, which we can talk about those. The investigation was closed. Christian Horner was to remain in his position as team principal. He was at testing. He was at the race this past weekend, like still in his position. However, it was announced that that investigation was closed, and the very next day, a link to a Google Drive was sent to journalists, to team principals, to the FIA directly. That is allegedly, the evidence that was provided in that investigation. So,
because the victim came with like hundreds of pages. So that's what was all in the Google Drive.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We still don't have full confirmation that it's even real. And I don't know if we ever will. So that all came out, which then renewed questions. Allegedly, Zach Brown and Toto Wolff have been asking some questions to the FIA about how this is going to get handled, and to Formula One management, FOM, aka. That seems to still be underway. There's still no updates there. Again, we don't know if what was sent was real. I haven't seen any credible source talk about it. There's also talk about possible lawsuits due to it being leaked. So who knows what's going on there? Who knows who knows at all?
It also wasn't very like when they released what they released of saying that the investigation was closed, it didn't really give any information. So
exactly.
That's why I think there is so much speculation out there, is because there was so little given.
In the statement from Red Bull, it was essentially that the investigation has ended. It did not say in the statement that he had been cleared of any wrongdoing.
Or if it was settled, right? Nothing.
So this whole situation has sort of sparked this cacophony of other things happening within Red Bull.
Great word, Jamie.
Thank you.
Such a good word.
Thank you. And tons of other rumors are coming out of other things that are allegedly happening or have happened. I mean, there's crazy stuff. So we don't know what is true and what isn't within all of this. I mean, there's a rumor that Christian Horner tried to buy Red Bull Racing. I don't know if that's true at all. Like out recently? From under, there was a rumor that he tried to buy Red Bull without the knowledge of the Austrians, which are the Austrians are the ones that own Red Bull, but then there's also the Thai Red Bull people that have a lot of influence. There's like tons of stuff. So there's that.
I didn't know that.
There's also just rumors of general unrest between Christian Horner and Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's dad. There's also rumors of Helmut Marko being involved. Helmut Marko allegedly said he wouldn't stand in Max's way if Max were to leave. Also, FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, as if he wasn't already talked about enough this episode, allegedly went to Max to ask Max to provide a message of support to Christian Horner. Max refused to do so. So now there's all of these rumors that Max is allegedly going to go to Mercedes.
Yeah. Which.
And if Max leaves, then the rumor is that Max leaves, Helmut Marko leaves, Adrian Newey leaves.
Yeah. So I saw that. So Helmut Marko leaves. Adrian Newey, I think, can get accepted anywhere. Anyone will welcome him with open arms. Mercedes will not hire Helmut Marko.
I think they would do a lot to get Max Verstappen.
That's
and Helmut Marko,
crazy.
for like the way that he's said some really awful things, and but he has such influence in motorsport. He's a known name for a reason.
Yeah, and he's been a part of so many drivers' journeys, careers. It would feel like to me a flip-flop, because Toto was so outspoken about there needing to be a punishment. I don't know if punishment's the right word I'm looking for, but
for comments he made last year.
Yes.
Checo. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is also all speculation. The only reason I'm really giving this Max to Mercedes rumor any weight is because of Lewis to Ferrari.
Because that seat's open?
Well, because I would have never even thought Lewis to Ferrari would have ever happened, and it did. So I think, in my head, I'm like, crazier things have happened, and if all of this unrest is true, and there's all these issues, I think it would be crazy for Max to leave such a dominant team.
Yeah.
But if the issues are really running that deep.
That's what I was going to ask is, Max has talked about, like, he's not tied to a team. He wants to be in the best car on the track. And Mercedes, they did well. I think a lot better than a lot of us, including myself, thought they were going to this weekend. But they are still behind.
Yeah.
Much further back than they once were, and, where Red Bull is.
Yeah.
And to me, that would be crazy to go backwards when he's been so vocal about just wanting to be in the best car.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is kind of dependent on where this stuff lands with Christian Horner and with all of the things that have sort of happened after. There's been some statements from Ford, who's supposed to be their new engine partner in 2026, that feel like they are feeling a bit unsure about the way this investigation has gone and continuing their partnership based on it. Again, we don't really know. We don't know what conversations are happening behind closed doors, but these are the things that are being talked about. And where there's smoke, there's sometimes fire.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying 100%. That Ford's canceling their partnership and that Max is leaving, that all of this is going to happen, but there's got to be something happening for these things.
I mean, there were rumors that Lewis was going to Ferrari, and we all just kind of wrote those off.
Yeah.
And then look what happened.
Stranger things have happened. So we will see. I think this story has started as something really intense and has just gotten bigger and crazier as it has gone on. I don't think that this is the last of it. I don't think this is the last time we'll be talking about it.
Yeah.
The goal of this was just to kind of give you the rundown of what is happening at the moment. Chaos. And I think we will get more updates and we will keep you updated as things come out. Again, just to clarify once more, it's all alleged. It's rumors. It's alleged.
Yeah, nothing's been confirmed.
Yes. But on a lighter note, we have some races this weekend. Yes. So obviously, first off, Formula One is in Saudi Arabia this weekend. And thank you, Jack, for pointing it out. Races on Saturday once again.
Another race Saturday.
Yep.
Another quali Friday. Big fan.
Love a quali Friday. Other big news, F1 Academy debut for the season.
Yes.
This weekend, also in Saudi.
Woohoo!
So exciting. So exciting.
Let's go to the Charlotte Tilbury car. Am I right? It's my
yes,
favorite car.
Lots of fun liveries, lots of fun stuff for them. And again, we will eventually do our F1 Academy episode. Just got to kind of, there's a lot moving. We got a lot happening, everybody.
We got to space things out.
And lastly, it is IndyCar debut this weekend in St. Pete.
St. Petersburg, Florida.
And we will be there.
We will be there.
If you are wondering why this episode is honestly not that much shorter, but slightly shorter than our normal episode, it's because we'll probably talk to you later this week via St. Petersburg, Florida on a race.
We'll be together. We'll be together.
Yeah. So, hope you have a lovely, lovely week. Jack and I have to go pack for a trip down to Florida. Yep. So, we will talk to you soon. Love you so much. Bye.
Bye, everybody.